The Aputure Amaran 200d is one of 4 point source LED lights released by Aputure in the year 2020, and on paper they perform as well as other lights that are 3 times the price. So I decided to put the 200d on my Christmas list this year, and now I have a much nicer key light. So today we're going over what I like and dislike about the Aputure Amaran 200d. So you guys ready? Let's get to it. If you have your own camera and you're taking your own photo and video, you've probably looked around at camera gear on maybe B&H or Amazon and stumbled upon the company Aputure. Aputure makes very high-priced but high-quality video and photo lighting. Aputure Amaran is their offshoot, which is more budget-oriented, so I've never seen a light from Amaran that was over like $350. So you're probably wondering what's the catch? Why would Aputure release really nice lighting at a premium price point and then release lights that perform just as well but don't cost nearly as much? That doesn't really make like business sense, right? It all comes down to build quality. Aputure lights are all metal, they're very rugged, you could bring them to a million shoots and not worry about them breaking. Whereas Amaran lights are more of a plastic build, they have a lot more plastic parts, and I think they're more designed to be in a studio that stays built, like a YouTube studio in a bedroom or a living room or something like that. I definitely wouldn't trust bringing this light around to a million gigs and expect it not to break eventually. But this makes the Amaran lights perfect for small studio setups where you're not really moving the light to a whole bunch of different locations. Most of the time my light is indoors so that I can shoot product stuff or talking head stuff. Right now I'm being lit by the 200d and it's at 5% brightness, so this light is insanely bright. The one thing I will say though is the softbox and the light are pretty heavy, so if you don't have a great light stand, you will need to upgrade like I did. And when I say heavy, I mean it's really heavy. I mean the 300d and the 120d are both around 4 to 5 pounds and those are all metal builds. The 200d, however, is 8.7 pounds total and it's an all plastic build, so I don't really know where it's hiding all that weight, somewhere inside of it. On the topic of the inside of this light, obviously it has a built-in fan to help dissipate heat, but one of the things that I found kind of odd is when I was watching reviews for this light in the first place, I did see a few reviews that said that the built-in fan on the 200d specifically is especially noisy, it's kind of rattly, and it was ruining some video takes. Mine, on the other hand, is whisper quiet. Like, you can't even hear it unless you're right next to it and there's no ambient noise going on. But the problem is, I don't really know if those reviewers got especially bad models or I got an especially quiet model. All I know is that my specific 200d, you really can't even hear unless you're right next to it. I have my Rode mic on my camera. The light is about 1.5 feet away from the camera, and when I stop talking, you should be able to hear the fan, but not very much. It's basically the same volume when I'm inches away from it as my computer is in the next room. I was thinking of doing an unboxing segment of this light, but it literally only comes with 3 items in the box. There's the plug, the light, and this cone reflector, and that's it. But speaking of the cone reflector, it has not only an umbrella holder, but a Bowens mount, so you have a multitude of options as far as lighting modification is concerned. You can use it with soft boxes like I am right now. You can use it with these reflectors to turn it into more of a spotlight. You can use it with gels to change the color. You can use it with something called a snoot, which has a funny name, and I have no idea what it does. So there's a lot of different options as far as modifying the light coming off the 200d. I do have one complaint about the Bowens mount on my 200d though. I don't know if the other 3 lights are like this, but mine is really rattly and it's hard to tell when you've actually locked the modifier into place because it doesn't make a real clear snapping noise like it should. Another thing I don't like about the ergonomics and the build of this light is it rests on an elbow joint to tilt up and down so you can get whatever angle you want with the light, and that tilt is tightened by a hand crank which is made of plastic, and the hand crank just feels really weird when you're tightening it. It's not bad, it's not cheap, it just feels odd to me, like you could break it off or something like that. It tightens all the way over a very short distance as opposed to tightening smoothly over a longer distance, and I'd much rather have the yoke and brake locks that you find on Aputure's more expensive lights, but unfortunately because this is a budget light, they had to cut costs somewhere. On the subject of ergonomics, this light is also dead simple to operate. It has a knob, a switch, and a button on the back of it, and the knob also doubles as a button, which just boosts the brightness in 20% increments, but other than that, you just plug the light in, flip the on switch, and then you use the knob to turn it up and down, and that's it. If you were to purchase the bicolor version of this light, the 200X, you would find a second knob on the back of it that allows you to control color temperature. The only other thing on the backs of these lights is a screen which has good brightness and good contrast, and the Bluetooth button, and that's it. That brings me to one of my favorite features of this light, which is the Bluetooth connectivity. So you connect your light to your phone through Aputure's Sidus Link app. And now you have control of all the parameters on the light. And the Sidus Link app supports multiple lights, so hypothetically if you have a studio full of Aputure's lights, you can control all of them from one spot. And ironically, you have more control of this light from the app than you do from the light itself. There's custom dimming curves, there's custom effects loaded into the app, you can build your own manual effects if you wanted to, and you can even upload audio files and have the light react to that audio. I did, however, see some bad reviews for the app in the App Store saying that it disconnects constantly. I haven't had this issue whatsoever. It always connects straight to the light and never gives me any problems. There's no lagginess, no bugginess, but this could change if I had a whole bunch of lights all connected to the same phone. Let's get down to brass tacks. Just how bright is the 200D? Without getting too nerdy and bringing up a bunch of charts and all that stuff, it is just damn bright. Like, it alarmed me how bright this light was the first time I turned it up to 100%. And the thing that sold me on the 200D is if you go to Gerald Undone's channel and watch his review of all 4 of these lights, the 200D was the brightest per dollar out of all of them by far. Another thing to consider when we're talking about brightness is the 200D is daylight balanced, so it's going to be brighter than the same light in a bicolor configuration. The 200X is bicolor, so you have control over the color temperature, but you're not getting as much brightness. There's also price to consider. The bicolor 200X is $350, whereas the 200D is only $300. The 100X is $250, and then the 100D is the lowest at $200. Yet another thing to consider is the actual quality of the light being put out, and this is going to sound nuts to anybody who isn't really into cameras and lighting, but not all lights are created equal, especially white lighting. If you buy a real cheap white light, it's probably going to be contaminated with a whole bunch of different colors like magentas, yellows, things of that nature. So your skin tones are going to look weird and everything's just going to look weird. Whereas if you spend a lot of money on a light, it's probably going to be very close to pure white. And for those of you who don't know, the in a nutshell version is most photo and video lighting have what's called a CRI rating. So from 0 to 100 is your rating, and the closer to 100 you are, the better the light is at producing accurate color. Unfortunately, I don't personally own a light testing box, so I can't test it myself, but from what I've seen on other reviews, it's 96 CRI, which is pretty damn accurate, and I've had no issues with color as far as the 200D is concerned. The only other thing there is to talk about with this light is the power brick. It is 40 watts, so you can't use batteries with this light whatsoever. You can't use gold mount, you can't use V mount. None of them will give this light enough power to make it portable, so you are tethered to a wall plug. Otherwise, there's not really many other specs to go over on the Amaran 200D. I am so glad that I upgraded to this light. For the application that I'm using it for in a small YouTube studio where it's not really going out with me a whole lot, it's absolutely perfect in my opinion. Also, I didn't bring up the Light Dome Mini 2 all that much in this video because I think that it's good enough that it deserves its own review. But if you're wondering if it goes together well with the 200D, it absolutely does. And that's all I got for today. If you got something out of this video, consider going down and hitting the like and the sub button. It means the world to content creators like me. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Sam Has a Spending Problem, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.